The only thing the Jeep Gladiator needs, if it didn't come with them already, and of course the Jeep Gladiator itself. Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to Rob Motive JT. You can see the Jeep Gladiator's not here. It's not actually even in the same state as I'm in right now. But by the time this video airs, I hope to be reunited. I should be reunited with my Jeep Gladiator. My trip will be over and I'll be back in South Texas. But that's not what this video is about, even though I sorely miss the Jeep Gladiator. You know, I just got this Mojave not too long ago, and then I turn around and leave it. Never a good idea if you're really into trucks and cars and things. But anyway, the point of this video, the one thing that the Jeep Gladiator really does need, assuming of course that it didn't come with them, and I'd stretch it even further, there's a second thing that the Jeep Gladiator needs to go along with the first one. What I'm talking about are tires. Now, of course it comes with tires. If it didn't, then you really probably got a pretty bad deal. But I'm talking about all-terrain tires. Not mud tires, not anything huge and gigantic, just a simple all-terrain tire. You know, a lot of the Jeep Gladiators, if you go with the more base level, I realize the upper trims come with an MT or an AT tire as well. That's mud terrain or all-terrain. But it doesn't do them justice to leave the simple all-weather tires on. They don't look good, and they really don't handle anything well. They handle everything okay. You know, I've had all-season tires before, and they weren't really great in wet weather. Really not good in snowy or icy weather. So I always change mine out. I gotta say though, living in South Texas, I don't really change them out because of weather, other than rain. I mean, we do get some pretty heavy storms down there, and of course we are in a hurricane zone. So it's possible you could get some really bad rain, but generally not. I switched them out because I don't think regular all-season tires do the Jeep Gladiator justice from an aesthetic standpoint. I think it looks like something is missing. You know, when I first got the Gobi Gladiator that I had, the Sport S, it had just the regular all-season tires on it, and then of course the standard Jeep wheels. It definitely looked lacking, like it was missing something. I had to put something else on it. And this is where the second thing that I really do think is necessary as well, dependent upon what your Jeep Gladiator comes with, and those are wheels. You know, I prefer black wheels on the Jeep Gladiator, although I'm kind of contemplating going with something else on my current one, but that's way down the road. But black looks really good on the Jeep Gladiator. I really don't care for those standard stock wheels that it comes with, nor do I really even care for the black ones. You know, when I got the Jeep Gladiator Mojave, my current Jeep Gladiator, it had mud terrains on it, which looked okay, way too aggressive for what I'm doing with the truck. But it also had the stock black wheels. Now, black is better than chrome. I mean, anything is better than chrome, but still, it didn't give it its full potential, I don't think. Now, I do realize this is a matter of personal preference, of course, but I switched those out. I went with an aftermarket wheel, of course, as well as the aftermarket all-terrain tires. I went with the Falcon Wild Peak AT3Ws. And let me say, in my experience, those are the best ones to have on any truck, not just the Jeep Gladiator, but I had them on my Toyota Tacoma. My wife has them on her Jeep Wrangler. They're just the best mix, I think. They're awesome on road. They're not hugely loud like the mud terrains are, and I think they look a little bit better. They're not as aggressive looking as the mud terrains, but I think the mud terrains take it a little too far. And the ones that were on the Mojave before, they look skinny to me. And there's nothing worse than skinny tires. It's like wearing skinny jeans. Maybe you're a skinny jeans fan. I'm not. I don't know how guys wear those from a comfort standpoint to begin with, but they look horrid. Again, personal preference. If you're into skinny jeans, go for it. I'm not buying them for you. Anyway, I do think that the Falcon Wild Peaks are the best ones that you can have. I've had a few others. I've had Nitto Ridge Grapplers. I have KO2s on my Toyota Tacoma right now. And I also had the Goodyear Duratrax, I think they're Duratrax, on my previous Toyota Tacoma. Now, as far as ranking them goes, the mud terrains are horrible. I don't care for those at all. The Nitto Ridge Grapplers would be awesome off-road, and that's because they have such a firm or hard composite rubber in them. They're very, very firm, and you can feel that on the road. You feel everything. I really couldn't stand those. I then went with the Duratrax. I'd say there's kind of a tie between the Goodyear Duratrax and the BF Goodrich KO2s. They're pretty similar to me in the way that they ride, the way that they sound, but still, I get a little bit firmer ride out of both of those and a little bit more noise than I do out of the Falcon Wild Peaks. The Falcons just seem to have it down. They seem to have the right mix to me. Now, one other thing to consider, and I think a lot of people don't, is your spare tire. You know, dependent upon how big of a tire setup you go with, you might want to consider replacing your spare tire with the same setup. Now, if you get something that's pretty darn close to what your stock size is, you can get away with a spare tire that it comes with. In other words, the stock spare tire. But if you go with something that's taller, and I'm really talking about height here, because you can imagine if the truck sits level and you lose a back tire or even a front tire, it's gonna kind of fall down a little bit depending on what corner you put that spare tire on that doesn't match. So don't forget about that. I got to admit, the first time I did it, and that would have been on a Toyota Tacoma, I really didn't take that into account, and I didn't replace the spare. And then I got to thinking at it after having the truck up on the lift for a while that, you know, I'll probably have a problem. It would get you out of a pinch. I mean, if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you need to get to somewhere where you can replace the tire, then obviously it'll work for that. You're probably gonna have to reduce your speed. You're probably gonna have to swap tires if you're unlucky enough to lose one in the front, because you wouldn't want that shorter tire on the front. That'll affect your steering, it can affect alignment, all kinds of other things, and why screw with that? Except you're gonna have to change two tires then. Move the one from the front to the back and then put the spare on the front. I mean, who wants to do that? So from a hassle factor, if you can, better to have the same size spare in case you need it. Now, as far as space, I know on the Toyota Tacoma, because I did it, I did have to pound out those little legs that the tire kind of goes up against. They kind of sit like this, and then the tire goes in between them. With the bigger tire, they didn't fit. They kind of hit the points of these little arms. So I had to break out the sledgehammer and kind of bend those out a little bit so that the tire would go up higher. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I did it, it worked fine. In the Jeep Gladiator, they've accommodated that already. There is more room under there for bigger tires. And I think they do that simply because they know people are gonna change them anyway. So they give us enough room under there to put a moderately bigger tire. I mean, if you go with something like a 37, I'm guessing that's probably not gonna fit. But anything below that, you should be fine. Anyway, just wanted to get on here, kind of talk about that a little bit. Questions come up on the channel about Jeep Gladiator tires and the setup. I really do think that's the one thing that the Jeep Gladiator really does need to be as versatile as it possibly can. Leave a comment, let me know if you agree. I'd be curious. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about Toyota Tacomas, and Rob Motive MT, all about compact trucks. Currently the Hyundai Santa Cruz. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.